On Earth, there are hundreds of ancient structures that seem far ahead of their time. History calls them impossible places sites that defy scientific explanation. These are colossal stone blocks weighing hundreds of tons that were smoothly hewn and fitted together with perfect precision. Did the ancients construct them using rudimentary human labor or by means of knowledge far ahead of its time? Amidst the silence of millennia, these monumental structures stand as a mute challenge to human intellect. In today's video, join us as we explore locations with origins that remain a subject of debate, human creations or natural formations. When you lay your hands on these thousand-year-old limestone blocks, the initial sensation isn't one of beauty, but rather of being overwhelmed and bewildered. You find yourself asking what on earth happened here over 400-500 years ago. Despite modern scientific advancements, leading engineers still find themselves baffled when confronted with the Great Pyramid of Khufu, as certain questions remain unanswered. The Great Pyramid is aligned to true north with a margin of error of only about 0.5 degrees. How did a Bronze Age civilization lacking compasses or satellite positioning tools achieve such extraordinary precision? The entire foundation, spanning over 5 hectares, was leveled with a surface elevation variance of less than 2 centimeters. Many researchers point out that the relative positions of the 3 Great Pyramids accurately reflect the positions of the 3 stars in Orion's belt, as they appeared around 10,500 BC. Is this alignment a coincidence or an astronomical message intentionally encoded in stone? The site was once reconstructed by the Romans into the magnificent temple of Jupiter. However, what truly baffles modern scientists is not the towering Roman columns, but the original foundation lying beneath them. The foundation of the Baalbek temple is composed of massive megalithic blocks, the most famous being the trio known as the Trilithon. Each block is estimated to weigh between 800 and 1,000 tons. They were hewn to absolute flatness and fitted together so precisely that not even a thin knife blade could slide between them. Furthermore, at a nearby quarry, the stone of the pregnant woman, weighing over 200 tons, was discovered in an unfinished state. Even today's most advanced crane technology struggles to lift a stone block weighing 1,000 tons. So how did ancient people, using only ropes, rollers, and human muscle, transport these stone monsters and hoist them to such great heights? Many archaeologists believe the Romans built it. However, quite a few engineering experts insist that Roman construction capabilities were simply insufficient to create this masterpiece. Could the foundations of Baalbek belong to a mysterious, vanished, prehistoric civilization? Or is there a lost technological secret involved? Most archaeologists agree that Moray served as an agricultural experimental center for the Inca. However, the mystery lies in the control of microclimates. The temperature difference between the highest and lowest terraces can reach up to 15 degrees. Each terrace features a specific orientation regarding sunlight and wind exposure, as well as soil types transported from various different regions. This creates dozens of distinct microclimates within a single basin, enabling the Inca to domesticate various crop varieties. So how did the ancients accurately measure and predict air circulation, creating such a perfect temperature differential without thermometers or computer models? Peru frequently experiences prolonged heavy rainfall. Theoretically, a deep funnel-shaped structure like Moray should see its basin rapidly transform into a deep, stagnant pool of water. Yet no matter how fierce the storms, the bottom of the Moray Depression has never flooded. Beneath the layers of stone and soil lies an incredibly ingenious, complex, multi-level underground drainage system designed by the Incas. The Nan Madol complex in Micronesia stands as one of the most astonishing enigmas on the planet. It is a floating metropolis constructed entirely upon coral reefs amidst the vast ocean, built from over 70,000 tons of black basalt. Each stone block weighs between 5 and 50 tons, equivalent to a heavy-duty truck. How did ancient people transport those thousands of massive stone blocks across the deep ocean without the aid of machinery, cranes, or metal tools? There are no traces of tracks, nor is there any evidence of heavy cargo fleets from that era. From an architectural perspective, stacking basalt ingots amidst swirling seawater represents a feat far beyond the capabilities of that era. While local legend recounts that two sorcerer brothers used magic to make the stone blocks fly there on their own. Nan Madol is not merely a ruin, it is a challenge from the past to human civilization. Viewed from above, this structure resembles a giant fingerprint left by a deity upon the landscape of Dorset, England. This is Maiden Castle, Europe's largest Iron Age hill fort, covering an area equivalent to 50 football pitches. What has puzzled archaeologists for decades is not its sheer size, but the motives and construction techniques behind it. Over 2,000 years ago, long before the advent of machinery, and when metal was exceedingly rare, ancient people excavated and moved hundreds of thousands of tons of earth and stone. They constructed towering earthen ramparts and a complex winding system of concentric ditches, a layout of breathtaking intricacy. A defensive labyrinth, or a spiritual symbol. At first glance, the maze-like entrances suggest an impregnable fortress. Researchers have realized that this earthwork system required millions of hours of labor and exorbitant cost merely to protect the few hundred inhabitants of that era. The most baffling detail is that the ditches do not form a continuous circuit. Instead, they are deliberately interrupted at numerous points. People often flock to the Colosseum unaware that without the theater of Marcellus, the Colosseum might never have come into existence. Completed in 13 BC, this structure served as the Roman Empire's greatest blueprint. Take a close look at the wall in front of me. Below lie Doric and Ionic stone arches dating back over 2,000-year structures that once held 20,000 roaring spectators. But look up at the top level, what do you see? Glass windows, pots of fresh flowers, and even clotheslines. Despite enduring earthquakes, wars, and the collapse of an entire empire, the foundation requires neither a steel framework nor modern protective treatments. This is one of the few projects in the world that embodies the principle of symbiotic architecture involving impossible places. Constructing a new building is challenging enough, but transforming a 2,000-year-old monument into a safe, functional space for 21st century use is a feat of engineering. The system of emergency exits and crowd-channeling arched doorways at Marcellus set the design standard for stadiums worldwide today. Imagine a place built without cement or deep steel pile foundations. The only materials used by the ancient builders were clay-dried straw and sun-dried sawdust. Yet they erected nearly 500 buildings, ranging from 5 to 11 stories, 30 to 40 meters in height, that have stood firm for centuries. How could mud bricks, a material inherently soft and prone to erosion, support the immense weight of the upper floors without collapsing? Situated on an alluvial plain frequently battered by flash floods and desert heat reaching 40 and 50 degrees C, Shibam has stood firm for nearly 5 centuries. What specific ratio of straw to mud did the ancient builders use to prevent cracking? What was the secret behind the white lime coating used to reinforce roofs against rainwater? These questions remain subjects of ongoing debate among materials scientists. Beyond its impressive height, Shibam stands as a masterpiece of spatial planning. The buildings are clustered closely together, creating narrow alleyways that channel desert breezes and provide complete shade, keeping interiors cool. How did the Sinagua people transport tons of limestone, sycamore, timber, and mud mortar up a sheer 27-meter-high cliff face without cranes, wagons, or pack animals? They utilized systems of rope ladders and rudimentary wooden scaffolding anchored into crevices in the rock. The outer wall curves gently to follow the natural recess of the limestone cliff, ensuring an even distribution of structural loads, a feat of engineering that commands the admiration of modern experts. The south-facing orientation of the limestone alcove was no accident. The Sinagua people meticulously calculated the sun's angles. Maximum sunlight exposure. This warms the entire cliff face and retains heat throughout the night. In summer, the natural rock overhang shields the interior from the harsh midday sun, keeping the rooms cool. Its elevated position places it safely out of reach of sudden flash floods from Beaver Creek below, while also serving as an impregnable fortress. However, the precise reason why they abandoned a perfect fortress remains a question without a satisfactory answer to this day. From a distance, this structure looks just like a computer-generated, futuristic artwork. But it is not. This is Chand Baori, a geometric labyrinth plunging 30 meters underground in Rajasthan, India, that has stood for over 200 years. Observe the flawless symmetry, 500 steps, arranged across 13 levels, tapering toward the bottom like an inverted pyramid. How were the ancients back in the 9th century able to calculate angles and construct thousands of stacked stone blocks with millimeter-level precision? In terms of functionality, Chand Baori is a masterpiece of water management within a harsh desert landscape. Its rainwater harvesting system stores a vital water supply to sustain life through dry seasons. Thanks to its deep subterranean design, the air at the bottom of the well remains 5 to 6 degrees Celsius cooler than the ambient temperature above. All of the approximately 900 colossal stone statues scattered across Easter Island were carved from the volcanic tuff found at this very quarry Rano Raraku. What truly baffles scientists is not the stone carving technique itself, but rather the mysteries that have yet to find a satisfactory explanation. At Rano Raraku, approximately 397 Moai statues remain in various stages of unfinished production. The largest statue, named Totokanga, remains attached to the bedrock. It stands 21.6 meters tall and weighs an estimated 270 tons. It feels as though the workers and artisans simply dropped their tools and walked away in a single instant. How did a Stone Age civilization, lacking the wheel metal tools and draft animals, manage to transport stone blocks weighing anywhere from tens to hundreds of tons? Rano Raraku is not merely an ancient workshop. It resembles the unfinished canvas of a civilization that reached the pinnacle of stoneworking technology only to suddenly vanish. Standing amidst the deep red baked brick walls under the scorching sun of Sin province, the first sensation that washed over me was not a sense of desolation, but rather awe at a town planning mindset that was millennia ahead of its time. The entire city was laid out in perfectly rectangular blocks, mirroring the urban structure of modern cities like New York. Most houses featured private bathrooms with wastewater channeled through sealed ceramic pipes into an underground drainage system beneath the streets. While Europe and other civilizations had yet to discover public sanitation, the people of Mohenjo-Daro had already mastered highly sophisticated engineering techniques. Millions of bricks used throughout the city adhered to a precise 1-to-4-dimensional ratio, demonstrating an astonishing level of state management and industrial standardization. Archaeologists have found virtually no armor, swords or spears, nor any evidence of a standing military force. Could this have been a society defined by absolute peaceful commerce? In the 5th century, King Kashyapa chose to build a magnificent fortified palace atop a rock formation rising nearly 200 meters above the ground. Yet what has puzzled scientists for centuries is not merely its beauty, but the engineering mysteries that were far ahead of their time. To construct a complex of palaces, pools, and ramparts atop a sheer rock mass, ancient builders had to transport tens of thousands of tons of stone, brick, and mortar to the summit. But how these cliffs rise at a near vertical 90-degree angle, a terrain that would daunt even modern climbers equipped with the best gear. To this day, theories involving wooden cranes or spiral ramps remain merely speculative. Ancient people polished limestone walls using a mixture of honey egg whites and adhesive wax until the king could clearly see his reflection. The technique used to treat the stone surface, achieving a luster and durability that have withstood the elements for 15 centuries, remains an unsolved mystery. Sgiria is not merely an ancient structure. It stands as proof that the ingenuity of our forebears sometimes reached milestones that modern science is still struggling to decipher. How did a civilization from over 700 years ago manage to transport and hoist these massive stone blocks up a cliff face nearly 100 meters high? The ultimate mystery lies in the royal tombs and the system of underground chambers. Ancient people carved out thousands of cubic meters of hard limestone to create multi-chambered spaces, flat vaulted ceilings, and intricate wall niches. Modern science has yet to fully explain the tools they used to carve such hard stone on such a massive scale, achieving such smooth surfaces during the early Iron Age. On a sheer vertical cliff face with no accessible path, there appears a colossal cuneiform inscription commissioned by King Xerxes III of Persia. The inscription is situated at a perilously high elevation. How did ancient carvers manage to suspend themselves and chisel out sharp, precise characters on sheer cliff faces without the aid of modern scaffolding? Standing before the ancient lime-plastered walls overlooking the tranquil Lake Van, one realizes that Van Castle is not merely a testament to the mighty Urartu kingdom. What astonishes engineers and archaeologists most about Derinkuyu is not merely its massive scale, but the level of technical ingenuity that was far ahead of its time. Over 15,000 ingeniously designed ventilation shafts channel fresh air from the surface down to the deepest levels. Even at a depth of 18 stories, underground air circulates perfectly, ensuring there is never a sense of stuffiness. The entire city was carved directly into soft, volcanic rock tuff, a material prone to collapse during excavation. Yet through some remarkable feat, the ancients accurately calculated the load-bearing capacity of the stone pillars, allowing the structure to endure for millennia without collapsing. The massive circular stone doors, weighing hundreds of kilograms, could only be rolled shut and locked from the inside. Should enemies break in the system of narrow, low corridors, would force them to advance, single file turning them into easy targets. Some theories suggest the Phrygians built it in the 8th century BC, while others believe it was the work of the Hittites 1,000 years earlier. Look at this block of stone right next to me. It is taller than the two of us combined, and estimated to weigh over 128 tons. The Incas, or whichever earlier civilization built this place, had no two-wheeled carts, no cranes, no iron or steel tools, and no heavy-duty pack animals. Many scientists hypothesize that they employed meticulous shaping techniques using harder stones such as diorite. To shape a 100-ton stone surface so that it fits perfectly down to the last millimeter against the adjacent block. You would have to lift and lower it hundreds of times for test fitting, given the technology of the era that seems like an impossible feat. Cusco is a region prone to devastating earthquakes. Over the centuries, modern structures and Spanish colonial architecture have collapsed countless times. Its walls are arranged in a zigzag pattern with a slight inward inclination. When an earthquake strikes, these massive stone blocks do not fall. Instead, they dance gently before settling back into their original positions. If there is one structure that leaves the modern scientific community baffled, it is this place. Believed to have originated between the 6th and 8th centuries as part of the Tiwanaku culture, the ruins at Pumapunku display a level of engineering that seems millennia ahead of its time. Andesite blocks and igneous rock, surpassed in hardness only by diamond, were precision cut with perfectly flat surfaces and flawless 90-degree angles. The grooves and drill holes, measuring mere millimeters, are so perfectly straight that modern engineers assert they could not have been created using ancient bronze or quartz tools. The famous H-block units are mass-produced with millimeter-level precision and interlocked using a system that functions like giant Lego bricks. This design enables the structure to withstand even the most violent earthquakes. How did ancient people move stone blocks weighing between 20 and 130 tons when they did not yet possess wheels or engines? Pumapunku is not merely a collection of ancient ruins. It is evidence that a crucial link in the history of human technology has been broken. The first impression upon approaching this complex is not of looking up at the architecture, but of looking down. The ancients did not build these churches by stacking stones or pouring concrete from the ground up. They did the exact opposite, excavating deep into the rocky terrain and carving downwards from the roof to the foundation. The church complex lies deep within vertical rock pits ranging from 10 to 12 meters in depth. Connecting the 11 churches is a labyrinth of narrow tunnels, dark rocky passageways, and complex underground drainage systems. Every element from the pillars' vaulted ceilings, windows and staircases to the interior decorative motifs forms a single, unbroken mass with the surrounding rock. Beyond its spiritual significance, Lalibela is also a feat of ingenious hydraulic engineering. Underground drainage channels carved around the church foundations manage rainwater during the flood season. Located just a few dozen kilometers from Mexico City lies one of the planet's most magnificent architectural marvels. Yet it also remains the greatest enigma that modern science has been forced to concede defeat to Teotihuacan, the city of the gods. At the heart of this city lies the Pyramid of the Sun, a colossal structure standing over 65 meters tall with a volume exceeding 1 million cubic meters. Yet what has puzzled archaeologists and scientists for centuries is not merely its scale, but the unsolved mysteries surrounding it. Many people mistakenly believe this site was built by the Aztecs or Mayans. In reality, however, when the Aztecs discovered Teotihuacan in the 14th century, the city had already been abandoned for hundreds of years. Beneath this massive structure lies a system of artificial caves and tunnels where archaeologists discovered traces of liquid mercury. The entire complex is also precisely aligned along an astronomical axis with the Pleiades star cluster. Imagine yourself diving amidst the deep blue waters and surging currents of the Ryukyu stream. As the marine haze clears, what comes into view is not an ordinary coral reef, but a colossal sandstone formation, stretching over 150 meters in length and rising nearly 30 meters in height. What startles anyone witnessing this for the first time is the unbelievable precision and orderliness, perfect 90-degree angles. The flat rock surfaces are interrupted by straight cuts as if sliced by a laser. High stone tiers, ranging from 1 to 2 meters, are stacked atop one another, creating the impression of a grandstand or the ruins of an ancient pyramid. A narrow path winds around the stone mass, alongside deep concentric circular pits and channels resembling drainage systems or stairways leading to the summit. Touching the perfectly flat rock ledges on the seabed of Yonaguni with one's own hands evokes an undeniably mystical feeling. Even though science has yet to reach a definitive conclusion whether this is evidence of a lost Red River or Mu culture. If someone told you that people in the 8th century carved an entire temple out of a mountain of basalt, a rock as hard as steel, would you believe it? Forget the pyramids or Stonehenge. What stands before us at the Ellora Caves in India, the Kailasa Temple, is a feat that defies the limits of modern engineering. Ancient structures were typically built using an assembly-based approach, transporting stone from elsewhere and stacking the pieces together. Kailasa, however, is the exact opposite. It was not built, it was created by carving away the excess rock from the mountain. Ancient artisans began carving from the summit of the basalt mountain, working their way downward to reveal the temple's structure. There was zero margin for error. A single miscalculated chisel stroke or an incorrect depth measurement for a pillar would have rendered the entire project a failure. There was no room for correction, and no architectural blueprints existed. It is estimated that between 200,000 and 400,000 tons of solid basalt were carved out and removed from the gorge. If the Giza pyramids overwhelm you with their sheer scale, under the open sky, the Serapeum evokes a sense of awe and unease in a completely different way. Housed within this tunnel system are 24 massive granite sarcophagi, each weighing between 70 and 100 tons, including the lid. The Serapeum is not merely an ancient structure, it represents an engineering challenge that, were we tasked with replicating it today using primitive tools, although granite is one of the hardest stones on the planet, the inner and outer surfaces of these blocks are ground so flat that the margin of error is measured only in micrometers. When checked with a square, the interior corners of the sarcophagi form a perfect 90-degree angle. The stone surface was polished to a mirror-like smoothness, yet at that time, there were no metal tools hard enough to work it. These granite blocks were not available at Saqqara, but had to be transported from the Aswan quarry more than 800 kilometers away. Amidst the scorching furnace-like heat of the desert, how did millions of baked clay bricks avoid cracking or collapsing? The ancient Sumerians utilized bitumen and natural asphalt as both a binding mortar and a waterproofing coating. This combination proved so durable that after more than 4 millennia, the ziggurat's core structure remains standing, defying the passage of time. The surface of the ziggurat is perforated with hundreds of small openings, known as weeping holes. Their function: to facilitate drainage and release moisture accumulating within the structure's core. This represents a level of tropical engineering and geological insight that was only standardized in modern construction practices. The entire structure is precisely aligned with the cardinal directions east, west, south, and north, with virtually zero margin of error. How did a civilization emerging at the dawn of humanity, when metal tools were still primitive, come to possess architectural and material science knowledge that was so far ahead of its time? Iron naturally tends to oxidize. After just a few years of exposure to the elements, ordinary iron rusts and crumbles. Yet this iron structure, weighing over 6 tons and standing 7 to 1 meters tall, has endured the elements for more than 16 centuries with virtually no signs of serious rust. Upon close inspection, one can clearly sense the remarkable smoothness of the surface beneath its brownish-gray exterior. It was neither magic nor extraterrestrial material. The secret lay in the sophisticated iron-smelting technology of Gupta-era metalworker. It was neither magic nor extraterrestrial material. The secret lay in the sophisticated iron-smelting technology of Gupta-era metalworker. The iron ore of that era was smelted using charcoal that was rich in phosphorus, but low in sulfur and manganese. Phosphorus acted as a natural catalyst. Over the years, the interaction between phosphorus iron and atmospheric moisture formed an extremely thin, water-impermeable When you lay your hands on these 1,000-year-old limestone blocks, the initial sensation isn't one of beauty, but rather of being overwhelmed and bewildered. You find yourself asking what on earth happened here over 400-500 years ago. Despite modern scientific advancements, leading engineers still find themselves baffled when confronted with the Great Pyramid of Khufu, as certain questions remain unanswered. The Great Pyramid is aligned to true north with a margin of error of only about 0.5 degrees. How did a Bronze Age civilization lacking compasses or satellite positioning tools achieve such extraordinary precision? The entire foundation, spanning over 5 hectares, was leveled with a surface elevation variance of less than 2 centimeters. Many researchers point out that the relative positions of the 3 Great Pyramids accurately reflect the positions of the 3 stars in Orion's belt as they appeared around 10,500 BC. Is this alignment a coincidence or an astronomical message intentionally encoded in stone? The site was once reconstructed by the Romans into the magnificent temple of Jupiter. However, what truly baffles modern scientists is not the towering Roman columns, but the original foundation lying beneath them. The foundation of the Baalbek temple is composed of massive megalithic blocks, the most famous being the trio known as the Trilithon. Each block is estimated to weigh between 800 and 1,000 tons. They were hewn to absolute flatness and fitted together so precisely that not even a thin knife blade could slide between them. Furthermore, at a nearby quarry, the stone of the pregnant woman, weighing over 200 tons, was discovered in an unfinished state. Even today's most advanced crane technology struggles to lift a stone block weighing 1,000 tons. So how did ancient people, using only ropes, rollers, and human muscle, transport these stone monsters and hoist them to such great heights? Many archaeologists believe the Romans built it. However, quite a few engineering experts insist that Roman construction capabilities were simply insufficient to create this masterpiece. Could the foundations of Baalbek belong to a mysterious, vanished prehistoric civilization, or is there a lost technological secret involved? Most archaeologists agree that Moray served as an agricultural experimental center for the Inca. However, the mystery lies in the control of microclimates. The temperature difference between the highest and lowest terraces can reach up to 15 degrees. Each terrace features a specific orientation regarding sunlight and wind exposure, as well as soil types transported from various different regions. This creates dozens of distinct microclimates within a single basin, enabling the Inca to domesticate various crop varieties. So how did the ancients accurately measure and predict air circulation, creating such a perfect temperature differential without thermometers or computer models? Peru frequently experiences prolonged heavy rainfall. Theoretically, a deep funnel-shaped structure like Moray should see its basin rapidly transform into a deep, stagnant pool of water. Yet no matter how fierce the storms, the bottom of the Moray Depression has never flooded. Beneath the layers of stone and soil lies an incredibly ingenious, complex, multi-level underground drainage system designed by the Incas. The Nan Madol complex in Micronesia stands as one of the most astonishing enigmas on the planet. It is a floating metropolis constructed entirely upon coral reefs amidst the vast ocean, built from over 70,000 tons of black basalt. Each stone block weighs between 5 and 50 tons, equivalent to a heavy-duty truck. How did ancient people transport those thousands of massive stone blocks across the deep ocean without the aid of machinery, cranes, or metal tools? There are no traces of tracks, nor is there any evidence of heavy cargo fleets from that era. From an architectural perspective, stacking basalt ingots amidst swirling seawater represents a feat far beyond the capabilities of that era. While local legend recounts that two sorcerer brothers used magic to make the stone blocks fly there on their own. Nan Madol is not merely a ruin, it is a challenge from the past to human civilization. Viewed from above, this structure resembles a giant fingerprint left by a deity upon the landscape of Dorset, England. This is Maiden Castle, Europe's largest Iron Age hill fort, covering an area equivalent to 50 football pitches. What has puzzled archaeologists for decades is not its sheer size, but the motives and construction techniques behind it. Over 2,000 years ago, long before the advent of machinery, and when metal was exceedingly rare, ancient people excavated and moved hundreds of thousands of tons of earth and stone. They constructed towering earthen ramparts and a complex winding system of concentric ditches, a layout of breathtaking intricacy. A defensive labyrinth, or a spiritual symbol. At first glance, the maze-like entrances suggest an impregnable fortress. Researchers have realized that this earthwork system required millions of hours of labor and exorbitant cost merely to protect the few hundred inhabitants of that era.